Welcome to I'm a Perfectionist, Get Me Out of Here, where we are all allowed to be perfectly imperfect. I am Aylin Webb, a licensed psychologist, cognitive behavioral and EMDR therapist, podcaster, author of Perfectly Imperfect and Transformation Through the Power of Quotes. My guest this week is Fozia Haynes, who's a young entrepreneur running her second business successfully. If you are thinking about starting up your own business, and perhaps sitting and procrastinating, it's not perfect enough, perhaps it's not good enough, it's always other people who are so glamorous that run businesses, they would know more people, or more how to. Listen to this episode. I'm sure you will find this really inspirational. Hello, Fozia, and welcome. It's great to have you here today.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
So, why don't we start by a brief story of your life? What brought you? I know yes, it's a very big question,
It
but the
is.
things that you feel have played role in where you are today.
Gosh, okay, I'll try and summarize this then. Um, Gosh, how do I? So I guess my background was very traditional, in the sense that my parents are Pakistani. I was expected to fulfill a certain role. I completely rebelled. I left that
What's
expectation, and
that
then
certain role when you say
oh,
fulfill?
housewife, getting married, not having a career, not, finding my own path, really, just kind of serving, which absolutely was not for me. So yeah, that kind of was never going to happen. And then I basically rebelled, I guess you could call it. Um, Put a backpack on, went traveling to South America for a year. So the opposite of what I was supposed to
Amazing.
do.
So may I just ask then? So there were some cultural and
Oh, yes.
religious beliefs involved here about
Yes.
what was expected of you, and
Yeah.
how did you then find the society that you were living in, and how what was being expected of you from your parents?
Yeah. So I guess it was when I was at home, I was living very much a double life. So
Hmm.
I really wanted to, read books, travel, start businesses, do all the things that I thought I was capable of doing, but I was very much within the confines of, having to cover up, having to be religious, having to be waiting to get married. And I was like, nah, I'm not doing this.
So you
So
were
it
you
was
were
very tough.
asked to wear a hijab.
But I mean, not so not that strict, but I guess in front of the male relatives in my house, I'd have to cover up, and
Right.
it was very religious background as well. So even though, we were living in Bournemouth, there was still expectations that we're not going to lose our culture and our faith, and that kind of, making sure that you appear like you're doing the right thing to the community, the Asian community, I mean.
I'm quite curious about this because I lived in Denmark, and
Oh,
there were, and also living here, and obviously growing up in Turkey, there was also kind of like the double, there was the religious part uh,
yeah.
of the society, and then there were the modern part of society, which have always been, struggling. Um, and in Denmark, I remember there were the young generation, the second generation then, who were confused because
Yes.
obviously their peers, they would go partying,
Yeah.
fun, drinking alcohol and so on, where they would go to the same school, but they
Yeah.
wouldn't be allowed to go to, those parties, the
Yes.
girls especially, or drink alcohol and
No. I
so
did
on.
a lot of sneaking out at night. I'm not gonna lie. I'd wait for my parents to go to sleep, and then I would sneak downstairs. I knew which stairs were creaky. And then I would get changed. I'd go out and I'd come back before my dad got up for mosque. It was crazy. I did all that, but there's only so many years you can keep living a double life. So
Yeah. So you had to kind of bring out your authentic self.
yeah, though I didn't really feel like I had a choice. And yeah, it's the best thing I did because obviously I wouldn't be here now.
Amazing. So how did so what happened? What did you actually do? This is
So
really fascinating.
Oh, is it? Oh gosh. I mean, it was literally, I think I made up a story about getting a job, which they didn't believe. So I literally just leave home and I think I pretended that, there's some fictitious company with some job, but no, they weren't buying it. And then
You left in good terms with your
no, no. Absolutely not. So I think it was quite painful. They couldn't understand. I guess they were just more worried about the shame that it would bring on the community. They were really worried about what people would say, and then obviously thought I'd gone a bit mad. So no, it wasn't good terms. But it's been many years now. What are we? 15 years? God, I feel old. So now, I've got amends with my mum and my siblings. Everything's fine. My dad's still very angry, but you know, you
yeah.
can't win them all. So
Yeah, and I understand that you are you're married,
yes, I'm married. Yes, I'm married to an
you have
Englishman.
three
I've got two
children,
kids. Yes,
so I'm sure they love spending time with them. So
yes,
they also have to give in with some of their beliefs and what
yes,
they think is the perfect daughter,
exactly.
according to their beliefs
Sure.
and the choice of spending time with their
Yeah,
child as well as their grandchildren.
completely. And I think, obviously, when I see my mum sees the kids, I think she's relieved that I've turned out happy and okay. I think that their fear was that I was going to go off the rails but I'm actually very boring and normal. I live in a village, my husband's a carpenter, we've got two kids, I've got the business. We're very boring and normal. It's kind of the life that I think she would have wanted me to have, but having picked my husband for me. So I've kind of just done exactly the same thing
Yeah,
that she wanted me to do.
yeah. Okay, brilliant. So tell us about this journey of you went traveling,
Yes, yes. So
right?
I really was like making up for all the parties and people that I didn't meet growing up because I had this, was in the four walls of the house. So when I left, I really left. So I put a backpack on, went to South America for a year on my own, which was crazy. I was only supposed to stay a
Amazing.
few months, but I just kept extending it. Eventually ran out of money and then came back to London. And then that's when I guess, got a regular desk job and tried to kind of make London living work. But it was hectic. It was very, very crazy. I was working in Soho and marketing. Never really liked my job, but I just liked the social life, met some people, just partied a lot, and then eventually settled down.
Yeah,
And now
as you would part
as you
time in
would,
London, I think
yeah.
at a certain time you just have to experience that one way or another.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's like I kind of had my very strict background. Then I went completely nuts with partying for a
Yeah,
few years. And then I settled down with my kids and husband. So I kind of went full circle. I don't know what the next phase is going to look like, what my next phase is, but
I'm sure it will look beautiful.
yeah.
Let's look into what happened with work stuff.
Yes. So you mean the business, how that came
Yeah.
about? Yes, because I was still doing my, regular 9 to 5 when I started my first brand,
Uh-huh.
which was honestly just an experiment. I never thought people like me could do things like this. So I guess to anyone listening, you always think of people who have brands and businesses as that's what they do. But actually it's regular people like you and me who just have the balls one day to go, you know what, I'm just going to try it. I'm just going to take the first step. And the first step is like, let me see if I can just find a product that I could do. And it literally is just baby steps. If I thought about the whole journey, I would freak out and never ever start. But if I only think about the next step, then
Yeah.
that's how you make progress. And then that's how you end up here today.
So you started, you decide, I'm just really curious.
Okay.
How did you go? Like, right, I'm gonna find it's for everyone who's
Yeah, sure. I read an
all
article.
the women, all the ladies, all the girls listening to this and would love to do their own business, would love
Sure.
their own business now or one day. Um, how so you're working in London and you're doing
Yes.
the best job and you're like, oh, you know,
Yeah.
I have my own business. How do I?
Yes.
how do I do this? And then what happened?
And then so I guess
The
I
bell started ringing, you know,
yes.
how did you find that?
I just knew I didn't like having a boss. I wasn't very good at my desk job. I just really didn't care, but I would care about something. I mean, ironically, I had way less money when I was in the business and worked harder, but I cared more. So I read an article, believe it or not, about I think it was in Cosmopolitan magazine, and it was about Kegel weights. So they're basically pelvic floor toners. So weights that you insert and you squeeze, and then it makes your pelvic floor muscles stronger. And
Hmm.
it sparked something in my brain. And I
Relate.
went onto Amazon and I was like, there's not many people selling these. And that was literally it. And I was like, I could do this. So then I thought, let me make a brand, let me find a supplier, let me get the best Kegel weight trainer that I can. And it was literally just baby steps, getting samples and then going, trying it myself, you know, having a laugh with my girlfriends, going, what do you think about these? And they're like, you're crazy. And then just starting. I think I started with £2,000, like not a lot, just savings. And then from there, it just snowballs. You just take, and I learn everything on YouTube. So there's no, you know, magic secret to how you do this. You just Google and YouTube and you learn. And I'm
Hmm.
still learning things every day. So you
Yeah,
just
there's
have to,
so much information about business out there, isn't
yes,
and I think you can get too much as well. You can get really bombarded with, we'll help you with this, we'll help you with
yeah,
that. So you really have to, I guess, focus
yes,
on what is it that you
exactly.
want, where is it you want to get to. So how did it go with that business? How were
That
things?
it was really it surprisingly did really well. God, the first couple of years I was literally just learning. I was like, okay, what form do I need for customs? How do I register this? What do I do with
Oh
that?
my
Oh crap,
goodness, import, export,
yes.
that came into it as
I was
well.
just learning. I was literally learning every step that I went on. You know, oh my God, I got my first complaint. What do I do? I'm just, you know, a girl learning all this, but
Yeah.
people from the other side of the computer probably thought it was this big brand, but it's just me behind my laptop. And yeah, it did really well. We were number one in the UK, number three in the US. So even like even learning how to then import into the US and start that listing, and even that was a whole. But again, one step at a time. And then I was pregnant with Isla, my second child, and I freaked out and thought I'm going to sell the business. It got too big for me. And because I'm a perfectionist, I couldn't handle anyone helping me. So even when I did try and get someone to help me, I would redo their work, or I would be unhappy with how they, you know, wrote that Instagram post. So I would do it myself. So I just freaked out. I was really sick with morning sickness for, you know, I think it was about 3 months. And I basically talked myself out of doing it. And I sold the business, which I should not have done. I tried to back out of it. I think I sold it on the Friday. I tried to back out on the Monday, but it was too late. So that was a huge lesson learned. What I should have done is scaled. I should have got a team. I should have got help, but I didn't want to hand it over, which is so, in hindsight, is what was I thinking? But
So are you saying that your expectations um, and the fear that others would not be able to fulfill the things the way you would do,
yeah, exactly.
perfection, because we have a certain way, it has to be this way,
Mhm.
and they just never do it, you
Yes.
know, and then you actually sold your business
Yeah, so drastic.
because you felt that others were not able to do the job as good as you did.
Completely. I couldn't bear to hand it over. I mean, it's such a drastic thing to do rather than getting help and scaling and actually accepting that people who are better than me. But it was such my baby. I was such a control freak with the whole business. And yeah, yeah, that was a very, I think it was a decision made in fear. Like it was a fear decision rather than anything well thought out.
It's a bit more about that fear.
I think it was a fear of I was on such a high. I was number one in the US, sorry, number one in the UK, number three in the US. I had bestseller rank on Amazon. It was so good, and I I kind of wanted to leave on a high because I thought is it a fluke? I had imposter syndrome. Is this just pure luck that I'm here? And I kind of just all this fear and talking myself out of something that I had built.
And sounds also like a bit of fear of failure.
Yeah, oh, completely. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was like, is this just a fluke? Am I, is this just, is it going to go away? When will people find out? So then I was just like,
Yeah.
let me just, whilst I'm getting away with it, let me get away with it and sell.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that.
It's just crazy though, the things you do out of fear and, saving face.
I think there's a quote that says, um, often people live their fear and not their lives.
Yes,
We live our fear so much that we forget to live our life beyond those fears.
that's very true.
So I guess it's really important to be aware of what is it that we fear
Yeah.
when something is stopping us from doing it. So just looking at, selling it rather than scaling.
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
but
you
you learn from your mistakes and I think now a few years on, I have the self-awareness to
yeah.
not be so pig-headed and rash with my decisions. But
And part of
it's just growth.
but it was part of, yeah, exactly, you grow, and
Yeah.
that's the thing, that's how you get out of perfectionism, I guess, that
Yeah.
you go, right, okay, so I'm going to learn from that mistake. If perfectionism is getting in the way of you living your life to the full, then check out my new book, Perfectly Imperfect: Cultivating Your Self-Worth in a Demanding World. It's based on cognitive behavioral principles and can help you work on yourself. But part of perfectionism is also just staying in your comfort zone
Oh
because,
yeah.
oh, here I'm safe.
Yeah.
I don't have to fear failure, so I'm just going to stay in this comfort zone and not push it. But so I realized that you did. You pushed, didn't you?
Yes.
You the kid.
Yes,
You want to tell us
completely.
a bit about that part? What happened
Um,
afterwards?
so after that, I had my baby, and it didn't take me very long before I was itching, and it was actually just a series of, I guess, coincidences that led me to the brand that I have now. So after I had Isla, I had a 1 hour labor. I won't go into too many gory details for your listeners, but it left me with some pretty severe injuries.
Hmm.
And the doctors and physiotherapists basically said in order to repair, you need to take lots of collagen with some other ingredients in there at a certain dose. And I couldn't find it anywhere. And I kept asking them, I'm like, well, if this happens to 50% of women and people need to repair from a vaginal birth, why doesn't a product exist that can help 1 in 2 women? And then my business brain just started going, well, I'll make it. I'll make it myself then. I had no idea how to make a supplement. I had no idea where you even start. Like, what is there a supplement wholesaler? I had no idea. Um, so I was literally just brainstorming what did I need? What do other women need? So yeah, I did make it. So I've launched my own collagen for women. And it's been, gosh, I think in where are we now? In a couple of weeks' time, it'll be a year since launch. So it's
Really?
still very
Yeah.
new.
Yes.
Yeah. So this
Yes.
is my second brand. It's a lot. It feels harder because I'm again the perfectionism. I expect more for myself. Whereas the first one, I kind of did it hidden behind closed doors. No one knew. I didn't put my face on the brand. I had a fake name. My fake name was Christine.
Right. So
But
that much that you wouldn't put yourself
no, I
out
had it was,
there.
some middle class woman called Christine. I wouldn't show that it was me behind it, Fozia. Whereas this brand, I've got my face on the page. I'm telling my story about what happened to me, my baby. It's so raw, so it makes it harder to fail. It makes the perfectionism is even worse because I'm literally showing everyone what I'm doing in real time. I'm like, as I'm building the business, I'm showing the entire journey. So it's pretty vulnerable.
which is which is that brings me actually to vulnerability and courage, the similarities
Yeah.
between the two,
Yeah,
because can you actually be courageous without being vulnerable?
No, yeah, I think they go hand in
Be
hand for
vulnerable,
sure.
don't they? Because you do have some emotional exposure
Yes,
with
definitely.
vulnerability, but also with courage, and you face uncertainty
Yes.
in both cases, right?
Well, you're basically you're putting yourself out there for people to, if they don't like this, then it's like them saying they don't like me. Because I'm basically saying that
Yeah.
every detail was my decision. Everything that I've, that you're seeing and experiencing and buying and taking is from my brain and my heart. And it's so, so raw. That, people,
Yeah.
if it was a company like Johnson and Johnson's, you could hide because there's no, person to be like, that's that person
Yeah.
who developed the thing that you've got in your hands. So it's pretty scary, but I think it
Yes,
helps with,
and yet, it's actually about the product. And this is very, this is a very, again, perfectionist thinking style that we kind of doom ourselves to. I am a failure. Not
yeah,
that, oh, the product, somebody didn't like the product. It's about
yeah,
the product. But no,
yes.
I failed. I
Oh,
am a
completely.
failure. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it becomes about, us
yes.
as a person, as if it's part of ourselves,
Oh, completely. I
which,
remember when I first launched, I had thousands of units in the warehouse and the lids wouldn't open. The factory used the wrong setting on the tooling machine, so the lids were welded shut. So I had so many complaints about customers having to use pliers and break the bottle, and it was
oh,
like raining and
right.
they couldn't open it. And but it was, I felt like it was me that had done it, so I had to apologize and recall the units. And then I was like, damn it, why didn't I check the bottles to make sure they would open? How would I know to do that though? I would not. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And it's
So
your baby. I mean,
yes,
there's a point, it's your baby. You
yeah,
want people to be happy with it, of
you
course.
do it. It means so much, doesn't it? Like
Yes.
the level of how much you care about this. Where my desk job in Soho, I really couldn't care less. I couldn't care less if anything went wrong. But
And I
this is
think
so personal.
And I think that's another thing, that there's always going to be a limit how much you care about another product, somebody else's something.
Yes,
You always, you pour your heart and your soul into something that means a lot to you.
yes,
This is a
completely.
part of your story, isn't it?
Yes. And also, I just wholeheartedly believe in what I'm doing. If I was selling, a stapler or something random, I really wouldn't care. But because, this was born out of a need that I had, that I really genuinely know is helping other women. It's such a
Yeah.
genuine product. And then I obviously have plans for the next one and the next one. But I guess it's just more, I'm just a normal girl from Bournemouth. There's nothing special about me. I literally am just, I'm not particularly skilled in area. I just had the balls to do it, and then took one step at a time. So anyone listening can easily do this, easily.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about taking the first steps,
Yes.
going for it, wanting it, and believing in yourself.
Yeah. I think there's a phrase, what is it called? Bias in action, where you just take messy action. So you rather than, I don't know what the phrase is, but
Well, I love one that goes, imperfect action is better
yes,
than perfect inaction.
that's so
So
true.
rather than waiting for, oh, it's not perfect yet, and
Yeah.
oh, and so on, which, I did mention to you when I wrote Perfectly Imperfect, the book,
Yeah.
I sat on it for 2 years.
It's so funny. It's so funny.
And then I realized every time I read it, I made changes to it. It's never
It's
going to
so
come out.
ironic.
And yet it's out now and it's helping
Yeah.
so many people.
But
So
that's a good
it's
point
the
though.
same with yours, isn't it? It's out there, it's helping so many people.
Completely. And I also realized, especially in well, with the product business, I've something that's really helped me is that nothing is permanent and fixed. So this wasn't the first design, and it's okay. Just start, put it out there, and I can always come back and be like, you know what, on the next print, I want to change that. I want to put that there. Just get it out there, and then
Exactly.
you can always tweak it and tweak your ass off in the background all the time, but get it going. It's
Yeah.
my biggest thing that I've learned.
Yes. Yes. No, that is just so inspiring. It's so inspiring. It's really amazing what you have done. And, I'm sure there's more to come.
Oh, I hope so.
Uh,
Yeah. It
uh,
is just the start. But again, even, doing things like this is so out my comfort zone. I've just started to master TikTok. Oh my God. Which is not going very well. But it's things like, unless I start, I keep waiting for the right moment to film a TikTok video because I want to have my products on TikTok Shop. And it's awful right now. I'm so bad. Just that the sales are not good on TikTok, but I'm putting one step on, because you know what? By the 50th video, then it will be good, and then the sales will start coming in. So I just have to tell myself it's going to be
once
rubbish today, but
and one step at a time, and maybe
yeah,
there won't be any likes, and maybe tomorrow there won't be any likes
no,
either.
exactly.
Maybe there won't be any likes the next few months,
No,
but we just have to keep at it
yes.
and keep trying. And if something doesn't work, we then go for something else
Oh,
and
completely.
tweak it a little bit and
Yeah.
see how that works. It's I think it's really about not giving up.
Oh, completely, completely. I always say that, with especially with the first brand, God, I had so many legal issues in terms of red tape that I didn't have this
Mm.
document, I didn't have that one. You just figure it out. You just figure out, and giving up is not an option. And I think there's another thing that I like. I think it's, you don't fail unless you quit, or something like that.
Mm.
So if I don't quit, I haven't failed.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes. So how are you finding just you know, in terms of your perfectionist tendencies that you are now a lot more aware of because
Yes.
kind of
I am
looking
I am
back.
aware.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I am aware of it, but I am by no means perfect. So, for example, when I find myself getting very stressed, I start doing these crazy OCD things because I'm trying to get control back. So I'm very self-aware of, you're being nuts. You don't need to tap that thing. Things are going to be okay, but it just makes me feel better. And I only do these kind of OCD perfectionist things when I'm very, very, very stressed.
Hmm.
So, I'm not perfect. Like, I'll have waves of really irrational perfectionism behavior. And then I have waves of like, okay, no, it's fine. I can chill. And I'm sure that I will have more periods of intense stress in the future where my OCD ramps up a notch. But, we're
So,
human, right?
so how, if I may,
Sure.
obviously, if I may, so how do you mean when you say, so I kind of find ways to relieve those, with OCD moves?
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit
Oh,
more
so
about
how I stop the OCD behavior?
Yeah. So what do you do, and then how do you stop it? What do you normally, what would you normally be doing?
Okay, so
Awareness, how does it help you stop it?
yeah. When I'm, say, for example, if I've got a particularly tricky call, or I've got a really horrible, I have to phone HMRC and deal with some bill, or something's really stressing me out,
Yeah.
I find myself doing some, OCD rituals, because then that reassures my brain that it's going to be okay, which is so irrational, but it just makes me feel better that I've kind of banged this cup and I've done the ritual. Now I can do the call.
Right.
But then once I've done the call and everything's fine, I'm just like, well, that had nothing to do with that. That's just because it was always going to be okay. And I think it is just, I take myself on lots of walks. I to get my steps in. I listen to podcasts. Um, I try not to always do business because I'm so 24/7 business focused. So I try and just listen to something completely irrelevant, about wellness that I like, or something, and it just grounds me. I like getting out in nature, or the more I do to look after myself, the less OCD heightened behavior comes out of me. But I know that those moments can flare up. So
Yeah.
I acknowledge it. Don't beat myself up and go,
Yeah.
hey, okay, I'm
With
obviously stressed.
so with stress, so
Yes.
you're aware when it flares up, it's
Oh
because
yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah. And I
stressed.
just kind of laugh at myself and go, oh, stressed am I?
Yeah. And then you go and look after yourself.
Yes, yeah, yeah, and it
In
helps. It
nature.
helps. Yeah, less caffeine, more water. It's so simple. There's no magic secret here. It's all the things that we all know we should be doing.
Yeah.
And
So
I will say I like L-theanine as another tip for anyone. It's a really, really lovely supplement. It's natural amino acid, and it calms you. It really calms your nervous system, and it gives you kind of like a warm feeling.
Yeah.
So
What did
whatever,
you call it?
it's L-theanine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
We
the
will put
reviews.
it, we will put it in the
Yeah,
episode information. So,
amazing.
mhm,
Yeah,
so that
anyone who has any anxiety or stressed or feelings like that, it's such a beautiful supplement. I love it.
okay, well, we will definitely put that in the
Amazing.
episode information as well. So if anyone is interested, they can
Yes, I think that would
click
be
on
helpful.
that, and they can also click on your website if they are interested in finding out more about you
Sure.
and your product as well. So now that you are more aware,
Uh-huh.
if you are to upscale, or
Yes.
when you are to upscale rather than if, what would you do differently?
Um, so I'm in this phase now, where I want to do more. So I'm at the moment I'm doing social media, I'm doing inventory, I'm doing marketing, I'm doing the finances, I'm the whole
Yeah.
everything. And it's slowing down the growth because obviously I can't be doing all these things because what is it called? Master of none, jack of all trades. I'm kind of spreading myself thin.
Mm.
So I'm getting over my ego and looking. So, for example, with social media, I found someone who's going to help me with the posts, who's going to help me, dead, who's more of an expert than me, and start to let go of the reins on that area. And then I
Yeah.
can start to let go of the reins on another area. So it's small steps, but I know I need to do it. I know, and I know that there are people who are better than me in certain areas. So I don't need to be, controlling everything at the top. I can just let go.
Yeah. And then do and focus on doing what you are best.
And hopefully that what is it called, fulfilling prophecy, that I'm actually, I find out that it does work if I have a team, if I do scale, and if I let people help me, they are actually better than me, and I need that lesson drumming in.
Yeah. They do,
And
they do say having the best team is how you grow your business.
yes, exactly.
Your team is important, and they're the ones who will take you to where you want to go.
Yes,
Um,
completely. Or I just
doesn't
hire
work
a team.
alone. Yeah.
I might just get a team of perfectionists, and then we're all being perfectionists together.
Hopefully not.
No, I know. Can you imagine? God, we
Yes,
never would get anything
because
done.
yeah, because we know that productivity with perfectionists slows down because they check, recheck, want to make sure,
Yeah.
and don't want
Oh,
to get out of comfort zone and so on.
yes,
So
exactly.
much slower progress with,
Yes.
with perfectionism. So this has been absolutely wonderful and so much fun to listen to you as well,
Yes.
and so inspiring. So any final words to those out there who might be feeling, oh, they're not good enough to run a
Oh
business,
gosh.
other people, or they will fail anyway, so what's the point of
Yeah.
trying, and so on. What are your
J
final
j
words?
just know that we're all faking it. So everyone you see on the glossy social media, everyone's faking it. Everyone's exactly the same. And then one thing that I always tell myself is that even if I don't do it, the time will pass anyway. So you may as well. That time is going to go anyway. You may as well just start today because, in a year, you're going to be, what I'm trying to say, you will have not started. So just start today. It goes quickly. And before you know it, you will have something in your hands or a book or whatever, or a podcast. It's just starting, and it's not as scary as you think. And you can always figure it out. And if you can't figure it out, someone can help you. So, and you don't have to have some special magic ability that you think everyone else has got and you don't. We're all just winging it. We're all normal.
Yeah, those are really, really fantastic advice. And especially the one, the time will pass anyway, whether
It
you do
will.
it or not. And then
Yes.
you can look back and say, oh, I always wanted to do this. I always wanted
Yeah.
to do
It's never
that.
too late. I think once you get the momentum going as well, I mean, if you literally start, just do 10 minutes today, just do 10 minutes. Because once you get the momentum going, that's the hard bit. And then and you often find you get really into it. So you're like, you want it to be 20 minutes. And the next day you're going to be like, you know what, I'm going to spend an hour this evening researching. You just start. You really like one page today, 2 pages tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much,
Oh, thank
Fozia.
you.
This has been
Thanks for letting me
so
rabbit on.
lovely. And thank you for joining us today. I'm sure everyone found it really useful and helpful, especially those
I
who
hope
would like
so.
to start their own businesses and sitting there and thinking, oh, no, I don't think I can. So here we go.
Yes, do it.
Yes. The only way to do it is to do it.
Is to do it. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for joining us in I'm a Perfectionist, Get Me Out of Here podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please do leave stars and a review. Help me spread the word by sharing this with your friends and family. My practical manual, Transformation Through the Power of Quotes, will help you or someone you know get through tough times and feel happier. It is now available on Amazon paperback and Kindle. You can also check out our website, mindandmood.co.uk. Thank you again, and remember, imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. Bye for now.